Hello there, this is Welsh ASMR 82. Hey, how you doing? So today I'm going to do a video which I hope you will engage with. It's an ASMR football video, and if you're not sitting back, falling asleep, if you're watching this when you're maybe playing Football Manager or FIFA or whatever, maybe you should listen to what I've got to say and then leave me a comment and let me know if I'm crazy, if I'm completely spot on. I'm going to do this for the Champions League at some point soon, and you can also leave a comment and say which other leagues I should do this for. But I thought it'd be a really cool idea to go through every single team in the Premier League and tell you who I think, personally, is their best player. So this is going to cause some rage amongst some of you who completely disagree with me. But be nice in the comment section to me, I'm only a little Welshman. And, you know, my opinion can be completely wrong. Some of the teams I don't know that well, I'm getting used to watching this year. Maybe I didn't watch them last year if they got promoted or whatever. And maybe you're a lifelong fan and you know their players inside and out. So I'm just going to go through each team and let you know who I think their best player is. Hope you enjoy the video. I hope it doesn't send you into a rage. So to make it easier for myself, I'm on FOTMob, just in case I get more comments about that than anything else. This is FOTMob, F-O-T-M-O-B, and I've clicked on Premier League, and this is the table, so I'm going to go in the order of match day for the table. Okay, so we'll look at Wolves last and Liverpool first. So Liverpool squad. Now I think historically people would obviously say that Mohamed Salah is their best player, but I think he started quite poorly this year, and I might even stick my foot in my mouth and say that last year, oh no, he was pretty amazing last year, wasn't he? And he might, you know, who knows, he might go on and win like the Golden Boot for what he did last year. But I think he's started quite poorly this year, so my thinking is, do I pick him or do I not pick him? That's quite an important question. If I don't pick him, again, I haven't seen the best out of Florian Wirtz. I'm just having a little look at everyone and trying to pick the correct answer. I'm probably going to go, so I think they would be a completely different team without Virgil van Dijk. As much as, you know, the guys at the top end of the pitch get all of the fuss and attention, I do think that Van Dijk is an absolutely crucial piece of the puzzle, and there were some moments in the match I watched on the weekend when they played, and I thought they could have been caught on the break by some of Burnley's players, but Van Dijk is so calm under pressure. He's good. He's got good pace. He's excellent in the air. He's a brilliant leader of the team. I just think he's amazing. So for me, it's not Salah, who can drift in and out of games. He scored the winning penalty in the 94th minute, but actually prior to that he looked pretty average or even very quiet. But Van Dijk was, you know, all go from the first minute. So for me, Liverpool, my choice, controversially or not, is Virgil van Dijk. Okay, so that's setting the tone. I'm not just going to go with, you know, the star player or whatever. Okay, Arsenal, there's a couple I could choose. I think honourable mention probably to some of their centre-backs, like Saliba, for example. Excellent player. Gabriel. For me, it's probably down, I think honourable mention to Declan Rice, but I don't think he's like their best player. I think it's probably between Martin Ødegaard and Bukayo Saka, and obviously when they missed those players, when they get injured, they do look like a completely different team. And so I'm going to say that because they don't really have as many people or certainly in the past. Maybe this year they will fix if they put Eze through the middle. But Ødegaard, when he's missing, I've noticed that with Saka out at the minute, I think that Madueke is doing an absolutely brilliant job. I thought he had a fantastic game on the weekend. So for me, rather than Saka, which I think probably about 60-70% of everyone would say, I'm going to go with Martin Ødegaard, because for me he just changes the way they play. Without him, they just don't have as much craft, vision, creativity throughout the team. But with him in the team, he makes everyone else look better. So for me, Martin Ødegaard gets the nod for Arsenal. If you agree with me, let me know. I'm not deliberately trying to be controversial, I swear. Okay, Spurs. This is a tricky one, because there's a couple of players who... I don't think there's anyone who's really massively stands out for these. I could talk about Brennan Johnson's goals, but he's sometimes very quiet, similar to what I was saying about Salah. Richarlison, you never know what he's going to be like. I think that James Maddison is excellent, but again has a dip in form every now and again. I think that at the back you've got Christian Romero, but sometimes his head will go and he'll get a red card. Mickey van der Ven is probably right up there for me, but I think last season Pedro Porro was probably their best player. I think that he's extremely consistent. He is absolutely class at what he does, getting forward, crossing, the odd goal, set pieces. His delivery from crosses is absolutely spectacular. And for me, I think, tiny bit controversial, I think some people would probably pick Romero or Van der Ven. Maybe they might pick Kulusevski, but for me it's going to be Mr. Consistent. Surprised someone like Real Madrid. Well, Real Madrid got their player in the end, didn't they? But I mentioned him as someone I thought that they could replace Dani Carvajal with. So yeah, I think he's absolutely class. So for me, Pedro Porro is the best player for Spurs. Bournemouth is difficult because they sold most of their big players last year. Obviously Hussein, Kirkesh, Zabarni have left. But for me, I mean there are lots of... It's such a close-knit team with everyone really sort of stepping up as part of the team dynamic. But if someone were to stick their head out, I would say it would have to be Antoine Semenyo. He is a cracking player, and he's fast, he scores goals, he's up and down the wing a lot, he tracks back, he's all action, doesn't stop, covers every blade of grass. Absolutely fantastic player. So for me, it's Semenyo from what I have seen. I don't watch Bournemouth very regularly, but when I have, he has extremely impressed me. Okay, on to Chelsea next. Who is Chelsea's? I think I'm definitely going to nod at Cucurella. He is an absolutely fantastic right back. Gets a lot of hate, obviously, for lots of different reasons. Reece James is well, he gets injured so often it's difficult to put him in that bracket. Enzo Fernandez has had his critics in the past, but I think he's really improving. And shall I say Raheem Sterling just to wind all the Chelsea fans up? That would be hysterical. Obviously, there are some players that have made a really good start this year, like João Pedro. It's difficult to pick someone who's only been there for 4 games, so I'm going to have to go with a pretty obvious pick. I think it's Cole, who is an absolute world-class talent. If you were playing for practically any other team apart from about 2 that I can think of in the Premier League, he probably would have been snapped up by some big club in Europe. But I think, well, I suppose Man City was already picked up, wasn't he, by Chelsea? But ice cold Cole Palmer, probably the one for me. He's had a tiny dip, and and obviously he's injured at the moment, but consistent wise, he is a real standout player. Maybe you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. Okay, on to Everton next. Now I haven't watched a lot of Everton, so I'm probably going to make a mistake on this one. In terms of standout players, it's difficult to know. Obviously, like throughout his career, Seamus Coleman, they have had a large amount of new players coming in as well, that most of which I'm not even that aware of. So for that reason, a player which has been there for a long time and is consistently good for them. Oh well, obviously in this position when he makes a mistake it really stands out. But I'm probably going to go for Jordan Pickford as Everton's standout player. He's been an excellent servant. How many years has he been there now? Yeah, look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow, he's nearly done 10 years. So for me, particularly because I'm a little weak on their team at the moment, I'm going to pick Jordan Pickford. I think that's the least controversial choice. Let me know if you agree. Okay, Sunderland. Oh, I really do not know Sunderland's squad yet. I'm sorry. So I'm quite possibly going to make a fool out of myself on this one with Sunderland fans. And obviously coming into the league, they have had a change of some of their players. They've got quite a few new players in, so Granit Xhaka, for example. I'm a Roma fan, so I'm familiar that we loaned Enzo Lefebvre to you, and now you've bought him, and he had a pretty good season. He didn't have a very good playoff final, I think, but I heard he had a pretty good season all round. Yeah, I don't really know who to say for this team. If I had to pick someone, it's probably going to be one of the young English players, isn't it? Who has probably done quite well. Okay, I'm really not sure on this one. Give me a second. Okay, so I just googled it, and one place said Mayenda, but was he there last season? Oh yeah, he was. Scored 10 goals in 41 appearances. So I know so little. I'm going to have to pick him. Although apparently the top or the highest rated players for the new EA Sports 26 are going to be Granit Xhaka, who we talked about, Reinildo and Nordi Mukiele. So is it one of those, do you think? Let me know. Okay. Sorry, that's going to be one of the worst. Okay, Man City. I think this is a tricky one because people are probably going to say Rodri right off the bat. And I think that group of people are also going to argue with Haaland. I don't think it's Phil Foden. He's not been at his absolute best for a while. Doku can be in sort of... He was excellent on the weekend, both Foden and Doku against Man United. Haaland was absolutely sensational. I think his goal scoring alone speaks volumes. I think by the end of the season, all Man City fans are going to absolutely adore Thierry Reinders. I think apart from them, it's probably really Rodri, so I'm going to pick Rodri and not be controversial. But at the same time, I totally understand if Haaland is your choice, or perhaps even somewhere else. So Crystal Palace, this time last season I obviously would have said Eze. I think he's absolutely sensational. I think, to be honest, and I don't watch a lot of Crystal Palace's matches, but I think the one player for me that absolutely stands out has to be Mark Gay. And the fact that he's actually still there is quite a miracle, because obviously Liverpool really went for him in the summer. He's not happy about it, but he doesn't let it affect his performances. He's almost a clear starter for England now, so I think that one's quite an easy choice, particularly with the players they've lost. So Mark Gay is going to be Crystal Palace's best player. Okay, on to the Dune. So, again, last year this would have been a different answer, because it would have been Alexander Isak. I can say over a long period of time, Botman has been an excellent player for them. I think Livramento is going to be outstanding. Dan Burn, obviously, absolutely amazing performances from him. Joe Linton's excellent. Sandro Tonali, and Bruno Guimaraes. And then I think Anthony Gordon puts a shift in. Obviously he made a mistake in the match recently. We'll have to see how a couple of them get on. I think Elanga will be a fan favourite before long when he's fit. Wissa and Voltemade if he keeps scoring goals. But for me, I think Bruno has to be the choice for Newcastle United. Maybe some of you will disagree and say Sandro Tonali. But I think for me, Bruno is absolutely world class and he could play in any number of top clubs. He could seem quite easily fitting in a Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Paris Saint-Germain team. Okay, next up is Fulham. Now, of course, Fulham has one of my absolute favourite players, Harry Wilson, but he doesn't get played enough, and to be honest, he's not as consistent enough as he should be for Fulham. I think because he's not played enough. I was really, really shocked and happy for Alex Iwobi last season. I thought he had a really good season last year. Career stats: 44 games, 9 goals, 6 assists, average rating of 7.2. Rodrigo Muniz is probably in with a shout. He had a pretty good year, 11 goals last year in 36 appearances. And I think I was talking to my brother about the whole Harry Wilson not getting played much, and then he pointed out that Emile Smith-Rowe probably has a similar experience there, 6 goals last year in 40 appearances. About 2 years ago, Palhinha would have been the easy pick. I've also got a very soft spot for the American Anthony Robinson. I thought that maybe Liverpool were going to snap him up. 10 assists last year from fullback, which is pretty good. And an average rating of 7.3. So I'm going to pick Anthony Robinson. Some of you are probably going to be horrified with that because you know much better. But for me, as a sort of neutral who sees Fulham every now and again, I think that's my pick. But my heart is with Harry Wilson, obviously. Cracking player. Brentford, well, this is going to be a tricky one because they, of course, don't have Mbeumo or Johan Wissa any longer, and I don't actually watch them that much. I'm going to do a nod to Kevin Gallagher, because I think he's an absolutely fantastic world-class goalkeeper. They're very lucky to have him. Jordan Henderson will make his mark on the team, a sort of very good leader in the dressing room. Apart from those players, I don't think as many stand out as previous years. They probably like a much better team than they are in a bunch of individuals. So for that reason, my immediate thought is with the goalkeeper Gallagher, but obviously he's not. How long has he been with them? Yeah, just this season he played 4 games. I can't really pick him, can I? Who's in the engine room then? Midfielders: Hickey, Henderson, Matthias Jensen, Onyeka, Milambo, Yarmuluk, Damsgaard. How did Damsgaard do last year? 3 goals, 10 assists in 43, average rating 7.2. Are we going to say Damsgaard then? I know it's one of the players that I'm more familiar with. And obviously up front, everything's would have been those 2 that have left. So maybe it's some other player that I'm not familiar with in terms of like someone who is regularly moving the team on. No, though, I wouldn't say. Oh yeah. Let me know. I'm gonna play it safe then, and I'm gonna pick. What did he do last year? Yeah, not great. I'm gonna pick Damsgaard, but I'm really not sure about Brentford. Sorry. Let me know what you think. Okay, last couple then. Brighton, Hove Albion. They've managed to keep quite a lot of their best players. I'm just trying to think about. So Veltman is a good player on paper. James Milner, always a very, very good player. and Danny Welbeck. It might be Welbeck, you know, because at his age, he had an absolutely sensational season last year. 11 goals and 4 assists in 36 games. I think I'm going to pick him just because he's had such a up and down career. People would have said, oh, you know, he's not lived up to his potential. Solly Marsh only played 10 games last year, so I can't pick him really. James Miller was fantastic the other week for them, but he only played 4 games for them last season. So yeah, I'm going to go with Danny Welbeck for Brighton. Okay, Manchester United, oh my god. If it was like who's the worst, that would be much, much easier. So many players that I could put into that category. We haven't seen much of Lisandro Martinez because of injury. Only played 14, oh no, that's the year before, 32 games last year. Had a good rating actually. I'm not a massive fan of Lenior. Luke Shaw's been played out of position. Mason Mount's been average. Casemiro's been underperforming. Xerxes not scored. I think, you know, Mbeumo's going to be a fan favourite soon, but I suppose it has to be the captain, Bruno Fernandes. For me, he's at least consistent, you know, 19 goals and 18 assists last season. That's an absolutely sensational return from a midfielder, but he's playing too deeply at the moment. He needs to be playing in a higher up position. So, Nottingham Forest then. Obviously I absolutely adore Nico Williams. I don't think he's their best player, but he's a very good one. They've got quite a few different players this year. They've lost their speedy winger Elanga, but it has to be surely Chris Wood. That absolutely phenomenal season last year, 20 goals in 40 appearances and 3 assists as well. It's quite an easy one for me, I think, this one. I think you're going to like Ndoye though this season. You're really going to grow to like him. Yeah, but for me it has to be the Kiwi Chris Wood. Leeds. For once, I actually might be able to pick a Welshman because Ethan Ampadu is their captain. And he's just absolutely fantastic in that centre of midfield. Has a really good relationship with Joe Rodon behind him because of the national team. There are a couple of players that are very good. Are they the best player? Pirouet is not consistent enough. Dan James is not consistent enough. The fans hate Jack Harrison. I think Tanaka's in with a shout. And at the back, probably Struijk and Rodon, but yeah, Ampadu is my pick for Leeds. Nice to be able to pick a Welshman. Burnley, I know so little about, and they've obviously changed over their players quite a lot. So again, super difficult one for me to do. I'm going to get toasted in the comment section. However, I was super impressed with Jadon Anthony. Is he new to them? Oh no, he played last year, 8 goals in 43 appearances. From the match that I watched against Liverpool, I was super impressed with him, so I'm sure there's different choices and loads of people have probably got, like, maybe would Josh Cullen be on your list? Had a good season as well last year, but I'm going to pick Anthony for mine. West Ham, I think it's a little bit of a tricky one for West Ham, because it's either, for me, it's a clear shout out between obviously Lucas Paquetá and Jared Bowen. Jared Bowen, absolutely crazy stats on him, 14 goals, 36 appearances for a side that nearly got relegated last year. And before the betting scandal, which wasn't a scandal, there was rumours of Paquetá going to Man City, although actually he ended up having a little bit of an underperforming season. So Paquetá, I'm going to be picking Jared Bowen because he's just fantastic and really outperforms how he should be doing. Last two then, Aston Villa. Aston Villa probably, I mean, they're having a bit of a rough start to the season, but in general, I think they've got a number of really good players. John McGinn, Yuri Tielemans, absolutely excellent in that middle area. You've got Ollie Watkins, excellent player as well. But probably on balance, Emiliano Martinez, the Argentinian goalkeeper, World Cup winner, nearly pushed out of the club, very controversial circumstances, obviously didn't want to leave, didn't end up leaving, fans got the wrong end of the stick, thought he had asked to leave or refused to play or whatever. So Sun settled him. Maybe it means that he's not going to have as good a season this year, but his stats are absolutely fantastic. So Emi Martinez for me. And then Wolves, who again, victims of their own success. They've lost a lot of their big players. So this is a tricky one because I haven't watched much of them. I have seen some of the matches this season. I think John Arias will come really good for them, but for me, I think Ewan Strand Larsen, who had 14 goals last year in 38 appearances and 2 already in 3 appearances. I think a couple of teams tried to sign him in the summer and he stayed. So is he Danish or no, Norwegian? I think the Norwegian wins for me as the best Wolves player now that Cunha's left and a couple of others. So there we go. I did it. Super controversial, and some of them I was completely guessing at. Could have picked anyone. Let me know in the comment section if I'm completely nuts and correct me. Push me in the right direction for some of the teams that I don't see as much. Let me know as well in the comment section if you want me to do this for the Champions League. Click like if you enjoyed it. Leave that comment. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. And this was my Premier League ASMR football video on which player in each team is, in my humble opinion, and sometimes incorrect opinion, the best player. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Let me know in the comment section what you think of the video, and see you soon. Bye 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 bye.